What are we talking about today, Kaylee?
Today, we are talking about our guest star who we finally connected a dot that we recognize him from, but only the audio. Are we ready to discuss this guy?
So, before we talk about my favorite reference of his that we just found on IMDb because we were both trying to figure out how we know him, it's worth noting that this guy is a pretty common character actor. His actual name is Nestor Carbonell.
Yeah, and it's unclear to me, being an ignorant person, if he is of like European Spanish, Latinx, or Italian descent. Maybe all. I mean, who knows? Like, we didn't research too well yet.
No, we didn't. Especially, that name. He wears a lot of eyeliner. Like, that's all I got.
We get a John Stamos reference. It might not even be eyeliner. Let's be real. If he's got that dark a lash line, it could be either. Yeah, we get a Stamos reference, and Stamos is Greek, I think, famously. So we really do not know. But I think a lot of people will recognize him as the mayor from the Dark Knight Batman franchise.
The difference being that I never watched the Dark Knight Batman franchise, so I have no frame of reference there.
He was also in Lost, which I don't think either of us really know.
Nope.
He's been in a ton of stuff as a character actor, like really small parts and small arcs. But my favorite that we've just discovered is he was the voice of Senior Jr. in Kim Possible.
Yes, he was.
Oh my gosh. That makes
Kim
me so
Possible.
happy.
That was a solid television show.
I still hear people's phones go off where I work. Do 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 do, and I just like look around like a prairie dog.
It was always this theme song for me. The call me, beat me, if you want to reach me, if you want to page me, it's okay. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure you nailed it.
Just can't wait till I...
Yeah. What's the sitch?
Kim Possible. Yeah, call me, beat me, if you want to reach me. Yep, that's it. That line rolls through my brain, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Rent free forever.
Yes. But he's a solid actor, or he's a solid guest star. We get him in another episode. And we have another guest star who we will... Well, actually, a couple more guest stars that we will
get to later. Him in another episode?
Yeah.
I had no recollection of this.
Yes. He's in the very next episode as well.
It's very rare that we get, like, someone outside of, like, Shawn's history repeating episodes. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I'm excited.
I think it has to do with something that's very obvious at the end of the episode, but in the meantime, let's talk about that episode. Are you ready?
It's showtime.
This is
To the Blueberry!
I am Alexis, and I'm a real-life Gus.
I'm Kaylee, and I'm a real-life Shawn.
And together we are a real-life best friend duo who got together to do a Psych rewatch podcast because Psych is our favorite show, and I needed to talk to Kaylee more often.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's worked out really well for us. I'm really excited for this week. What is our episode title, for real?
Season 5, Episode 8, Shawn 2.0. Which might end up being our episode title as well, because it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I can't remember what I said most often in my notes, so we'll see. But we start, as we so often do, back in a flashback to the 1990s, and the little baby boys are playing basketball, and Shawn always wins.
And he always does this little I win dance. And Henry's like, you know what? I'm in. Let's play.
Yeah, because Shawn goes, who else wants some? I wrote, Henry wants some.
Why can't I ever beat him?
Henry tells him he has no game. You better stick to tapping.
Little baby Shawn asks Henry how many points he's going to get spotted, and Henry's like, winners don't need spots.
Also,
You know what they do need?
What do they need?
Steroids.
Don't believe everything you hear, Shawn. Nobody uses that stuff.
It's just a rumor, Henry said.
They do say that they're going to play first to 11 is the winner. Now, that doesn't track with what happens next.
No.
But
No.
Henry says that what Shawn really needs is to believe. He needs to believe that no matter how tough the challenge, he's going to be able to rise to it.
Now start believing. So, little baby Shawn does his best to believe. He takes the shot and rejected. Hard.
So, it's all in slow-mo. It's very well done. Henry just volleyball strikes the ball, and it goes rolling towards the ocean. In the very next scene, in the very next shot, little baby Gus is holding it. So that's something I noticed. But
I noticed that Henry did a little dance after he got it, after he missed the shot, or after he stopped the shot.
They're terrible winners.
Henry was like, "Listen, the only way you're gonna get better is if you challenge yourself. If you keep playing against Gus, you're not helping yourself."
Yeah, bad things happen when we get complacent.
To the present day, in the psych office, Shawn is asleep and yet listening to an audiobook. There are files all over the desk. There are snacks everywhere. Maybe he had been trying to read along. Probably not. But he must have been listening when he fell asleep. Later on, we'll find out he was pretty drunk.
We find out also that this is a doctor, like vampire, like
romance?
angsty, romantical. Yeah. It's Grey's Anatomy plus vampires, is what I'm gathering. It's Twilight plus doctors. Like
because it's the eternity. He
the
gets
phone
a call
wakes
from the
Shawn.
Santa Barbara Police Department. Yeah.
And next we get a walk and talk with Gus, and Shawn admits that he loves chicklet. Like, unabashedly, he loves books primarily, like, where the women would be the demographic of readers and enjoyers of this particular type of literature, and no shade. Like, Shawn is into it, and yeah, it's legit literature. I'm gonna say that.
He is taking some flack from Gus, but his comeback is, "You're one to talk, mister. I bought Win a Date with Tad Hamilton on DVD."
It had 15 deleted scenes, Shawn. 15!
There were, in fact, 15 deleted scenes in the DVD of Win a Date with Tad Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched all of them, but I don't remember who owned the DVD, because I certainly never did.
Shawn was like, "I didn't do any work. I drank beer and listened to my audiobook. It was a good day."
Gus starts talking about his date with Kim. They walk into a coffee shop. Shawn is annoyed because of how Kim spells her name, Kim, and she and Gus have only been dating for a week, and Gus says it's getting serious.
We meet Minka. We meet Minka, the young lady who is working as the barista at this coffee shop. Gus will have his usual 6 chocolate muffins and a chocolate milk. Extra chocolatey.
And Shawn will have a latte and also some baked good that he's about to pick out, and it will all be free because he's about to get the movie question of the day correct.
I'm afraid nope. Minka is like, "I don't think you're going to get this one. I've got a good question," and lists out the question.
And then the boys talk about the wedding this weekend. Gus is bringing Kim, Kim with one eye, and Shawn says he's going to bring Juliet. He just hasn't asked her yet.
Oh, no, he actually says, "Oh, I know who I'm going to bring." Rhymes with Juliet.
Juliet? Have you ever even asked her yet?
A, she doesn't have plans that night. B, there's always been this unspoken, sometimes spoken thing between the two of us. And 4, I happen to know that she loves spontaneity.
Gus says something about that's on her social media profile.
Their order is ready. It's question time. How many times is the F-bomb used in The Unusual Suspects?
It's called The Usual Suspects.
Well, not when I write it.
It's a very famous movie twist. And Shawn says 97. 97 times.
I actually believe it's 98. Fenster dropped one after the lineup scene. It often gets mistaken for the word gug.
And Minka is like super charmed by this stranger who just answered the question correctly. And what would he like for his on the house order? And he says, "Oh no, I just came in to use your recycling bin. Have a great day."
He leaves. Shawn is super confused that he did not get it right and says to Gus,
"Who the gug is that guy?" So that guy actually turns around, looks at Minka, and winks on his way out. He winks, Alexis. He's a winker.
Meh.
Gross.
I don't hate winkers.
I don't like it.
It might be because I'm a winker, though.
It's not creepy when you're the winker. I don't like male winkers.
Okay, that's fair. We are headed to the amphitheater, and Gus doesn't want to be there on a Sunday. Oh, Gus is like, dude, it's a Sunday. Why are we working?
He says, on the Lord's Day, no less. Or on the Lord's Day, Shawn. And Shawn says, yeah, on Sunday, no less.
We see Lassiter, and he is in a like blue polo shirt and a pair of khakis. And Gus goes, Lassie, I didn't know that you were playing golf today.
I wasn't.
Now, earlier on in this series, did we not find out that his skivvies? Nope.
Civilian clothes? Civvies?
Civvies, not Wait, skivvies? Civvies. Ah, there's
skivvies are underwear, hun.
Right. I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't seem to get it there. Didn't we discover that his civvies were like still a suit?
Yeah, I'm not sure if those are like his church clothes for Sunday.
Okay, that's fair. They are there with a 70-year-old female who died after listening to the Philharmonic. But she wasn't discovered till this morning.
Her name is Lucy Friedman. Shawn makes a joke about how boring it must have been. Maybe that killed her.
It ends with, I'm also going to bring back Said the Liar.
Oh, because Shawn's bringing back... Not.
Oh.
Lassie says...
I'm also going to bring back Said the Liar. And then Gus said, that one's even dumber.
Lassie says there are no signs of foul play or marks of a struggle. And Shawn psychs out on her aerosol bug repellent spray.
And then he remembers 2 other aerosol-related deaths in the paper from the week before. Like, there were aerosol cans around them when they died.
Yes, there were aerosol cans near Peter Hodges and Veronica Miller just this week. And Jules is like, oh, you think these are linked? And then I wrote Guyliner. Guyliner walks up again, and he's the Guyliner from the coffee shop earlier. And he says... Yes, all 3 of these people died near aerosols. And he totally steals Shawn's thunder because Shawn didn't get to mention the aerosols. He was just like, I am sensing a link between all of these deaths.
Shawn said, who are you and why do you keep stealing my moments?
Oh, I'm Declan Rand. I'm a criminal profiler. Apparently, the chief knew that he was coming and gave the cops a heads up about it.
Shawn is like, criminal profiler. That sounds like a title that's only found in TV shows.
Oh, and what do you do?
I'm a psychic detective.
There's like an odd pause.
full face, full pause, yes. Juliet confirms that there were, in fact, 2 other people and who he is or something like that.
No,
Lassie thinks it's a serial killer.
Yeah, and we say that is possible since these are linked and there have been multiple deaths. And Shawn sees a homeless man sleeping nearby as Declan flirts with Juliet.
He recommends that they check the contents of the can. Shawn and Gus have a full aside, and Shawn doesn't like him because he keeps stealing my thunder. Or no, because he stopped stealing your thunder, Gus says.
I don't have anything for this.
Because his name is Declan. Don't you find that utterly ridiculous?
Shawn takes this moment to ask Jules if she will go to the wedding with him this weekend. But unfortunately, she actually literally just made plans with Declan, who walks by and again winks. I hate it.
Juliet's like, maybe we should talk about this later. Shawn gets super weird about it.
And he says, I really don't like the cut of that guy's jib, Gus.
He's smart, knowledgeable of film, good at solving crimes. He's Shawn 2.0.
And then we get our credits, and it is 80s-tastic, Alexis.
There's so much synthesizer going on in it. I just love it.
Who's singing this version of the credits, Alexis?
Maybe it's Kurt Smith, one half of Tears for Fears.
Shawn loves Tears for Fears.
Specifically that half of it. Bum, bum, bum. It's a good version of the credits. Would recommend to anybody.
Yes.
Santa Barbara Police Department. Shawn and Gus are ranting about how Declan is better than them. In comes Juliet, and Shawn gets, again, very weird. Gus is like, sometimes he over-enunciates when he gets uncomfortable.
I do not do that.
Shawn and Juliet have an aside, and Juliet is like, listen, I can reschedule with Declan if you really need a date. I've only known him for a few minutes. I've known you for a long time.
This fool of a Shawn says, yep. No, I just thought you needed something to do. I don't need you to come with me.
Finding a new date will not be a problem for me.
And Shawn walks over and says, did you hear that? And Gus says, every ill-conceived word.
Juliet is visibly upset by the fact that Shawn is like, oh, I can replace you with anyone.
I know that he was like, I don't know, wounded by the way she was like, if you need me to come with you. But she was like, giving him an opening, and he's a dense person.
Yeah, he is. Chief Vic calls everyone in. She announces that they officially believe this is a serial killer. There have been 3 victims in the last 5 days. It is all hands on deck, including consultants.
Yeah. Henry says, we're hiring Psych because of their serial killer experience. And Shawn says, also, we help them write and produce one-act plays on the weekends. Gus says,
they're usually pretty dark.
Henry says, we're also hiring Declan Rand, a noted criminal profiler. And then Declan eye flirts with Juliet.
I wrote that. Declan, Juliet eyes at each other. We get the profile. The profile is that of a likely 30-year-old woman who is very compassionate, mostly because these people died of hemlock, which, in addition to being a lot of fun to say, don't take my word for it, come on, hemlock. It creates a very peaceful death, and everyone says hemlock, and Gus says hemlock, and then Shawn hides it under his hand and goes, hemlock.
So it shuts down the nervous system and is a very peaceful death, like he said. And so he's thinking these have the possibility to have been mercy killings, since everybody on the list was older and they were granted a very non-violent death. He says a woman in her 30s with maybe an overly compassionate side, and Shawn goes, Alicia Silverstone! And I wrote, she was a longtime vegetarian turned very vocal vegan. She has a very compassionate side.
Okay. Shawn, not wanting to be overdone by Declan, said her first role was in the movie The Crush. And Declan said, actually, that was her second role. She first did an uncredited appearance in The Wonder Years.
Shawn says, oh my god, he's right. Ugh. So, fun fact, The Crush also stars one Carrie Elwes, who we know as Pierre Despereaux, who we have not seen the last of.
Gus still enjoys the word hemlock. Chief Vic is ready for business. Declan and Juliet have an aside, so Shawn, Henry, and Gus also have an aside in the conference room.
Shawn is mad. He says, look, you brought in 2 hacky cops, and now this profiler with the world's worst name and possibly dark eyelashes on any man ever?
Gus says hemlock again. Shawn says stop it. Henry said, first of all, I agree with you on the name. Second of all, he is not a hack. He has lots of recorded successes.
And glowing recommendations.
Yes. Great resume, 2 master's degrees in psychology and criminology from Harvard and an MBA.
So, I took some notes. Also, Nestor Carbonell actually went to Harvard. So that's a fun fact. But, and let me bring up the picture here, I did some research because this will come back later. If you wanted to be a federal profiler with the FBI, they usually like you to have some background in law enforcement, but it is not required. Usually, some criminal profiling positions may be non-sworn civilian employees, but they usually have at least a bachelor's in psychology, criminal justice, forensic, and behavioral science at minimum, master's or doctorate's degrees in criminal justice or something related, attendance to law enforcement academies, and extensive experience with law enforcement and investigative techniques. These kinds of credentials will come back later.
One has not. But he does have an MBA. Also, I get confused when Guster said things like, he has a master's degree. He has 2 master's degrees. And then he said Andy has an MBA because an MBA is also a Master of Business Administration. And I know this because I have an MBA, but that's a different story. Henry's like, listen, it's not the Monkey Basketball League. This guy is good, and I hope you're up to the challenge. Ooh. You've been getting sloppy.
You gotta step up your game. Shawn says, Declan can't touch my game because it's on fire and has those little things porcupines have.
Quills?
Watch while I smoke this arrogant fool.
Outside of the conference room, Declan walks up to them and is like, dudes, I'm really impressed by all the cases that you've solved. I just saw that. But Shawn is like, listen, man, I just don't believe in the ability to psychologically profile someone.
I think it's hooey. And Declan says, oh, that's cool. You're totally entitled to your opinion. It's just that I kind of do it all the time.
Shawn's like, then profile me.
Declan tries to demur twice, but Shawn keeps goading him, and he goes, okay, well, you're obviously highly intelligent, but you're shameful about it, so you play it down with any appropriate behavior and live in fear of showing weakness, so you hide it behind a constant barrage of jokes and sarcasm. You tend to over-enunciate at times when you're nervous. It might be a nervous reaction of some kind.
I agree. Not, said the liar.
And then Declan tells him that saying said the liar after saying not kind of negates the whole not of it all and makes it all true again.
At which point he gets called out for being over enthusiastic and nervous again. And Shawn is like, no, you're wrong. And
sorry,
Declan
my guy.
said, I tried. And walks away.
Gus says he wasn't off at all, Shawn.
I know.
And we go see Woody!
The park victim is on the slab and the other ones are on the board. And Lassiter points to the wall and he's like, well, then what is that?
It's a picture of a quote-unquote dead Woody. Apparently his daughter took it for her photography class. You'd be shocked at what a little baby powder and
ketchup
can do. Like, are they dragging the show right now?
Woody totally agrees that it could be mercy killings. They all had life-threatening diseases like cirrhosis of the liver, advanced hepatitis, and Wilson's disease.
Shawn psychs back to his audiobook, and it turns out that Wilson's disease, it means that you need a new liver. That's what I wrote.
And dawns on him that all of these people could be on a transplant list.
Because all of these affect the liver. So he psychs out and he goes, no, Mercy, it's not Mercy. And then they go to a donor clinic.
Shawn does tell Gus that you are never allowed to mock me for listening to those books again.
I agree.
Now, in this scene, I had this moment when I was looking at Woody where I was like, Woody could be a Muppet. Like, for real. I look at him and I'm like, you could be a Muppet. Now, here's the best part, and this is probably why I feel this way, but Woody was in a Muppet movie where he played the bad guy. The recent one with Jason Segel.
Oh. I had
Wait,
no
no. That wasn't that one. I don't know. He was in one of the Muppet movies where he was the bad guy, and every time I see him like acting weird, I'm like, you are a Muppet. That's what you are. You're a Muppet. I
His
would love to be a Muppet.
characterization
You're a Muppet. Woody,
yeah. Woody is totally a Muppet, like 1000%. If they replaced Kurt Smith bodily with a Muppet, and that's the only Muppet character we had in this show, but it was still Kurt. Oh my God, what's his name?
Kurt
Fuller.
Fuller.
And just
you said Kurt Smith, and it cracked me up.
I'm so sorry. Kurt Fuller's voice as this Muppet, it would be perfect. It would be spot on. I would ask no questions. It would just be something that existed in this universe.
Yep. It would just be normal.
So, a doctor comes out with a list that confirms what Shawn was saying about all of these people being on the liver donor list. And they check, and all of them were at the top of the list. So they go to the next person down, because it's possible that these people are being killed off so that someone can move up the list. And Declan says, well, who's the next person? Her name is Catherine. She's 35, and she matches the profile.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm over here trying to figure out if I was completely making that up.
Kurt Fuller?
I think I did. I think I completely made it up.
Are you sure? Because there are a lot of Muppet movies. Let me see. I want to try this now.
And it makes sense, right? Right?
It does.
The entire time
I don't recall it personally, but I'm not a connoisseur of Muppet movies.
I am.
And yet.
I could be totally wrong.
I just love that he continues to be in this, like, world. Oh, also, he's in Supernatural. I don't think we ever managed to say that before.
Yep, I think I totally made it up.
I don't believe that for a second.
I have a very distinct image of him and, like, the two creepy Muppets, like, being bad guys together.
The old man Muppets?
No, not the guys. The like the evil creepy ones.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I made it up.
That's insane! I don't believe it!
Absolutely did. How is that possible?
How is that possible?
That's how much of a Muppet he is to me. I placed him in a Muppet movie that didn't exist.
Also, he was in The West Wing for 2 episodes?
Of course he was. Okay, sorry everyone. I digress. Matches profile exactly. Well done, Declan, everyone says. And Shawn is, or Lassie says, and Shawn is like, what? Since when do you use first names?
Yeah, really.
Shawn is screaming, I'm the one who figured out the list. And Declan gives him his props, only for Shawn to go, shut up, Declan.
Wait, did we skip the whole thing about the psych office and Shawn on the phone to Krista?
No, that's the next scene. Shawn is looking for a date.
Oh.
She hangs up on him.
Yeah, I fully skipped the part that you were talking about, so it's good that you had it.
Okay. In comes Gus, and Gus is like, did you sleep here again last night?
No, I got here half an hour ago. I had to get stuff done. I tried to make us some joe, but the coffee maker's busted.
We don't have a coffee maker.
Then what was I fiddling with for the last half hour?
We'll find out soon. Shawn has been doing research about all the people on the transplant list because he has to prove Declan wrong.
Gus says that's impressive.
Oh, so you think if you win this case, you can win Juliet?
Gus said that your dad should hire ringers more often. Shawn said Declan is no ringer, and Shawn will prove that the killer is from the donor list but is not Catherine. And I just wrote, 'cause he's psychic. 'Cause technically. And that's when Gus says, so you win the case and you win Juliet.
Meh. I want to come back to your point later. In case when Shawn said no, but if making Declan look sucky somehow diminishes his appeal in Juliet's eyes, I'll take it. Now, Gus, this is not personal.
Everything you just said is personal. Not.
They get a call from Henry. Catherine Bix was seen walking into her house about an hour ago. You two need to go get over there right now. Shawn, are you listening to me?
And he's not, because Gus just found his humidifier and it is covered in coffee.
My humidifier looks nothing like a coffee maker, Shawn. I'll buy you a new one.
This happens a lot in this episode. We get calls from Henry, and Henry's like, Catherine was just seen here. I'm like, who saw her there? Who called that in?
I love that that's what you were thinking about, because when you said this happens a lot in this episode, I was thinking you meant dumb physical comedy. Like the coffee maker humidifier.
That too.
Because it does. This episode, it happens quite a few times. We get to Catherine's house, and Declan is mansplaining this whole situation to Juliet.
Yeah,
we call it psychopathic rationalization.
Yeah, he's doing pseudo-profiler things, and he says that in the killer's mind, the murder is justified because unlike them, she has her whole life ahead of her, and they've lived already.
Yeah. Gus said, do not say not. None of those stupid expressions are coming back.
Oh, yeah? That's like Gus says like hammer pants.
That's what they said about hammer pants. They didn't come back, Shawn.
Then why did I just buy three pairs? It's never hammer time, Shawn.
I love that Gus's response is, because you're, oh no. I don't know if he actually says this or not, but I wrote, because you're an idiot.
I think he did.
Okay, and then Shawn said, because it's hammer time. It's never hammer time, Shawn.
Lassie knocks on the door, and a sick lady answers.
That's when we meet our other guest star, Catherine Bix, a.k.a. Meredith Monroe, who, again, is a very common character actor who I know outside of this show for sure.
Yes. So we have some more fun facts to come with her, but we should note that she worked for 15 episodes on the show Criminal Minds as the wife of the regular character Aaron Hotchner, and she's killed in the series' 100th episode. Also, Timothy Omundson, who plays Lassiter, appeared in a 2005 episode of Criminal Minds for one episode as a long-distance serial killer. I'm going to follow up with this later. There's a little bit more to come, but we won't talk about it yet.
She is very nervous when they answer the door, and they're asking her a bunch of questions, and she's like, oh, I just need to get something out of my purse. And Lassiter immediately pulls a gun on her and is like, keep your hands where I can see them.
Shawn psychs out on luggage and her pile of mail, and he says, I'm sensing that you have recently been away.
In Switzerland. She was visiting her liver specialist there. She's been there for about 2.5 weeks.
Yes, so she gets her passport out of her purse, and it has been stamped. Confirming this.
Declan is super confused by all of this because she matched his profile perfectly, but you can't fight with stamps.
Lassiter apologizes and everyone leaves, but Shawn tries to ask her to come to the wedding with him by striking up a conversation about her playing softball due to a picture of her on, like, a little stand or dresser, and him playing baseball, and then Gus pulls him out of there.
You play softball? I play. Feels fun. This is probably a weird time to ask, but do you have any plans on Saturday?
So outside, Declan is not convinced. Shouldn't we ask her some more questions? Lassiter doesn't care what Declan thinks. He doesn't enjoy pointing a gun at an innocent woman.
You don't?
I'm not 29 anymore, Juliet.
Shawn to Declan said, good effort, Deck.
Gus says, well, who's next on the list?
He's nearby. They're going to head that way.
Yeah, his name is Leonard Jimenez. He's 10 minutes from there. Shawn says, yeah, me and Gus, we're gonna meet you there.
To which point they immediately go to a hotel.
Yeah.
Because Leonard, the next person on the list, died 3 days ago from liver cancer. That's what Shawn found in his research this morning.
So he's on to the next. His name is Fitz Gurley.
And Shawn knows that he is the real serial killer, and Declan can't steal my thunder like the thunder stealer that he is.
So there's a picture of a guy, and Shawn says, look, he absolutely looks guilty, evil, tough,
He is, however, being honored by the Hoba Society. Don't really know what that is. Dude looks scary. There's so much back and forth. Shawn finally approaches the platform and takes the mic. And he tells the entire room that he may look warm and kind on the outside, but like the coach from the White Shadow, on the inside, he is cold. He has a cold, dark soul.
Yeah, he fully interrupts this award ceremony, and then Gus finally tells him, the guy you're talking about, the picture that you saw, that's not Fitz. Fitz happens to be a very nice, very old, wheelchair-bound gentleman.
Not the cold-blooded murderer that Shawn just announced to the entire room.
So, back at the SBPD, Henry says Shawn embarrassed a very upstanding citizen, and Shawn says, but he had an arrest record.
Lassie is also really angry that for a peaceful protest in the 1960s. Lassie is also very upset that he lied to them, but it was a lie of omission.
Mistakes were made on all sides, and not just by me, because cough, Declan cough. We've just got to move forward from all of this. The witness saw Lucy's can of aerosol switched. Oh, there was a witness.
Yeah, Chief Vic says there's a break in the case. Shawn has a psychic moment where he's like, oh, was it that unhomed man? He didn't say unhomed man. And they were like, yes, how did you know? Psychic. They have a sketch, and it looks like Catherine Bix.
Also, I want to apologize. I did refer to him as homeless earlier because that is how I wrote Shawn referring to him at this point, and I apologize. This unhomed gentleman who is our witness. And
that is what they call him in the show, so it's correct. But yes, I do prefer the phrase unhomed man. Chief Vic thinks that those passport stamps that they saw on the passport were fake because this sketch looks way too much like Catherine. And then she points out that she had refused police protection when she found out about the murders.
Jules is like, yay, Declan was right, go you. And ew, they're hand-holding via pinkies.
He is very mad, and he says, gug.
Yeah, Shawn's as grossed out as I am. So next, we see Shawn on the phone with Gina, and he hangs up, and Gus is like, please tell me that was not crazy, Gina.
Look, dude, I didn't have a choice. The last girls that I asked out are either out of the country, recently married, or wanted for poisoning people.
When is the last time you spoke to Gina? Asked Gus.
Probably the day I was shot.
Shawn, Gina is not a girl to mess with. She's obsessed with you.
Would you relax? She knows we're only friends. It's a one-off.
Then we cut to Gina talking to her friend. He's going to marry me!
Like, high fives, jumps, hugs, the whole 9 yards. Gina.
Her friend is enabling this behavior.
Shawn.
So Lassie and Jules go to Catherine's house, but they didn't find anything. She has left. She left about an hour ago, and Declan says, I think she's close by. This person is not driven by fear or any emotion. She has a major depersonalization disorder. At which point, Shawn psychs out again.
Which results in feeling detached from one's mental or emotional process.
Shawn remembers this exact phrasing and explanation from eternity.
He was, in fact, putting and drinking a martini at the same time? Or drinking a beer at the same time?
He was drinking and putzing about.
Yes, but he realizes that Declan has just directly quoted the book, and he smiles. And but Declan finally ends with next time, the next move that she makes will likely be more logical than emotional.
Yeah, because she's basically just a person who's going through the motions of life without actually experiencing it, like a character in a movie. And they all walk away, and Gus asks Shawn, okay, you're smiling. What have you got?
3 things. 1, I'm not the only closet chicklet lover around here. 2, Declan is a complete fraud. And H, he may just be our murderer.
He holds up his hand as if to give a fist bump, and Gus denies him. So we find out that he drives a red cranberry Prius.
I saw that.
It's not an Echo, it is not a Yaris, but it is a Toyota Prius, and it is cranberry colored. They follow him.
Not in a cranberry colored car, but in a blueberry colored car. While you were annoyingly talking to Kim for the 9th time today, I was on the phone with Harvard, who said there is no record of Declan going there.
The blueberry in this scene is very noisy, I wrote. It's rattling, we hear wind, it's just, the audio is weird. So, Shawn ran this theory by Lassie, and Lassie agrees. Declan's a fraud. He may be the bad guy.
Why would you go to Lassiter about this?
Because unlike you and Jules, he's not smitten with this guy.
I'm not smitten.
You're Jimmy Smitten. So this is a reference to Jimmy Smits, who is an actor, and he was both on LA Law with Corbin Burnson and The West Wing with Dule Hill.
That was what I was thinking about earlier, and then I realized it was
later.
Yeah. We see Declan pull into this giant house, and Shawn and Gus have a straight-up Scooby-Doo moment when they're hiding behind a tree, and then they pop their heads out on either side.
I wrote, this is my favorite sneak around, either side of the tree pose. So Declan hears them bickering outside his door and opens his door to find them standing there, and Shawn is holding a barbecue fork.
He invites them into the barbecue he didn't realize he was having. Gus is in love with this place. Shawn doesn't believe that this is actually Declan's house.
Yeah, whose house is this, Declan, if that's even your real name? And if it's not, you made a ridiculous choice.
It's mine.
Yeah, sure. Sure, with all that profiler money.
Come on, Gus. What about this place makes you say that?
What?
Oh, Gus is like, I think it's his place.
Yeah, and he's like, what about this place could possibly make you think that, other than that giant picture of him behind me on the wall?
That's another good physical comedy moment when we zoom out and we see this like 8-foot picture of Declan drawn and hanging, and Shawn goes, "Holy crap, you're rich, huh?"
So Shawn didn't even see this picture before he referenced this picture. I'm putting it in the psychic pile.
That's fair. He says that he is filthy rich, and Gus points out that this painting kind of makes him look like John Stamos.
Shawn's like, Declan says, when are you going to put down that barbecue fork? And Shawn says, when you get real with us and tell us your story.
So he's in. He tells him the story. About 6 years ago, he bet against the housing market. Boom. And then he was backing up a big truck to this house.
So we're doing a walk and talk. We go outside to his backyard. It's real lush. There's like a pool. It's real fancy. Just a quick aside. Betting against the housing market crash is what the entire movie The Big Short is about. And then I wrote, wait. Is somebody singing? Who's singing? And the boys hear it too. And wait, who is that? Is that?
Excuse me. Excuse me. Why is there a man that looks exactly like Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears playing an acoustic set next to that tree in your swimming pool?
Oh, that's, yeah, Kurt. I hired him for a party I was throwing, but we just hit it off so well, he decided to stay and hang out.
And you're paying me.
Yeah, but, I mean, we're friends, though.
You are paying me, right?
Yeah, yes, Kurt. Oh my god.
Mad World, go.
So Shawn's like, oh my god, it's actually you. It's the real you, the fleshy you. I love you. Do you have any idea how much I love you?
Declan admits that it's kind of lonely all by himself in that big house. And then he tells the rest of the story, which is after he became filthy rich, he quit his job, and he decided he wanted to commit to his lifelong dream of becoming a sushi chef. But that was going to take too long. But then I thought, how cool would it be to solve crimes all day? And I knew all about this stuff, I knew all the stuff about psychology because my dad used to be a therapist.
Gus says, that sounds familiar.
Shawn 2.0.
So Declan fudged his credentials and he gave it a shot, and he actually has a real knack for it. And then Kurt starts to improvise a new song and Declan hates it.
Kurt, Please, what did I tell you about going off book? Now, Kurt's first response is, are you going to call Chief Vic and tell her I lied? And Shawn's like, no, but you better tell Juliet.
Because she's into you. And Declan says, cool, I'm into her. But he can't tell her because then his career would be over and stuff. And Gus is like, what's your plan? Just to fake it forever? Oh, wait, that's Shawn's plan.
Shawn goes, this is not about me right now. Declan hadn't really thought that far in advance. Shawn is like, you tell her or I will.
And if you tell her, Declan says, then I'll tell everyone that you're a fake psychic.
Kurt stops playing. Shawn goes, a dramatic pause. Really? Come on, Kurt, that's beneath you.
Also, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Come on, I've been on you from the beginning. Come on, I've been on to you from the beginning. Don't forget we read the same books.
Kurt improvises some more, and Declan hates it.
But Shawn loves it and cannot stop telling him how much he loves him.
I still love you, though. And Kurt says, could you stop maybe telling me you love me? And Shawn says, done and done. But I do. Love you, that is.
Isn't there like a little finger heart?
Yes. Oh, yes. Finger heart in front of the chest.
At the Santa Barbara Police Department, Shawn goes, Dad, you've got to fire this guy. He's a complete fraud.
So are you.
But I'm a productive one.
So is he. And Gus
says, goes, and he knows Tears for Fears.
Half. He knows half of Tears for Fears. The half that I love. And the half that I would absolutely do anything for.
Shawn. Okay. Henry points out there are no legal requirements that one needs to become a criminal profiler. So we're just going to have to go with it.
Right. So there aren't legal requirements, but lying about your credentials in order to appear like a good candidate as a criminal profiler is probably less than a good look. Henry, come on.
I feel like the same argument can be made for Shawn, unless we want to play the Shawn is actually psychic card.
Okay, here's the thing. Even if he's not psychic, how can they prove he's not psychic? It's not like he's saying, oh, I took the class and got licensed as a private investigator, and he doesn't have that license. He's saying I'm a psychic. I'm just a consultant. He's doing nothing wrong.
He does point out later on in the series that the only way that they can ever prove that he's not a psychic is if he admits that he's not a psychic. So, but that's a whole different story. He knows half of them, the half that I would love, the half that I would do anything for. Henry's like, you need to prove that you are better than him. In comes Juliet. They found Catherine books. We're off to find her. She's at a parking garage.
And we walk into the parking garage, and the cops have their guns drawn, and then, oh my god, she's dead. And also, Declan is there?
And he's standing over her and just goes, uh-oh. And Lassiter arrests him.
Lassiter's like, you were right, Spencer, and, takes him into custody. And then we walk into the SBPD, and Lassiter's like, take this Joker to interrogation. And I wrote, haha, Batman reference, because he was the mayor.
Shawn goes, I knew he was a no-good murderer.
No, you didn't.
You know very well that he did not do it. Gus wants Shawn to be the bigger man about it, and Shawn's like, okay, cool. Ask Lassiter. They're going to go talk to Declan. Off to interrogation.
Nope. We can't skip this, because Shawn asks Lassie if they can take 5 minutes with Declan first. Lassiter says, okay, but you tell him I'm coming. And hell's coming with me. And that is a Tombstone quote. The movie Tombstone stars Val Kilmer, but the person who says that quote is Kurt Russell, who is playing the character Wyatt Earp. Now, there was a mistake in my closed captions, because right after this, Shawn goes, all right, Wyatt. And I wrote, Wyatt, as in Earp, but my closed caption said, okay, or all right, what?
What?
And it wasn't what, it was Wyatt. Yes, he was being Wyatt Earp, and it's a Val Kilmer reference, and I love this little Easter egg, and it's not in the fun facts on IMDb, but I'm going to get it added.
So this time around, we did talk about this previously, but I really didn't remember what scene we were talking about. But now that I remember being here, I watched that scene twice because I couldn't understand why he would say, "All right, what?" and then walk away. I was like, that's so weird because I'm now watching on Peacock, so I'm watching the same captions you are. So, yeah.
All right, Wyatt.
There it is. All right, to interrogation. Declan is like, oh, thank goodness you guys are here. Can you do me a big favor and make sure that Kurt isn't throwing a bender? Because I think he and that dude from the crowded house, I think they're plotting something.
Shawn says, Neil Finn?
Duncan was like, listen, I heard it all over the radio. I wanted to be the first one there so I could show you up. But when I got there, I found her dead.
And Shawn says, okay, but then if it wasn't you, who did it?
He doesn't know because there's no patterns to the murders anymore.
Also, did
most
you notice
of them die?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of them died by the aerosol poisoning and were older.
But now there's a blow to the head.
Yeah, so he says also, did you notice Catherine looked healthier as a corpse than she did at the house the other day?
Except for being dead.
So,
Shawn psychs out and remembers Catherine and the bags that were under her eyes whenever he saw her the first time.
And Shawn is like, oh, I've got something. And Declan's like, oh, come on. I know all about the thing. And Shawn is like, yeah, well, just you hold on and you'll see. Right now, we need to go have a convo with our favorite weirdo.
Who is?
Woody!
Shawn was totally right. About what? A lot of things.
For one,
my wife, for example,
wasn't just good friends with that college freshman. And Kathy didn't have a liver problem.
In fact, prior to her head trauma that ended her life, she was the model of health. And then Shawn realizes that it was makeup that she had on to make her appear sick before. And Woody is like, how did you know all this?
Shawn is like, or Gus says, why would she want to get on the transplant list?
And Woody's confused how she got on the list because there's no way someone that healthy would have gotten that far along the list.
Because there's an incredible screening process for these.
Woody takes a moment and Shawn goes, hey, wait, is she left-handed?
Yeah, righty or lefty? And Woody says, oh, definitely righty.
Shawn realizes what's going on. They need to go back to that parking garage that's attached to an apartment complex. Let's go. I'll let you know on the way. And then as they're leaving, screams to Woody, your wife is also sleeping with her personal trainer.
Woody says, yes, I know, but I have approved that one.
Oh, Woody, my man.
We go to the apartment building. We've got everybody with us. We've got Declan, Lassie, Jules, Shawn, Gus, and Shawn says, I'm feeling that there is someone in apartment 5. How does he know apartment 5?
Okay. He also knows her name. So my assumption is that he was doing research on the way. That's my assumption. Lassiter's like, how sure are you? He says he's positive. Lassiter's like, you better not be wrong, and breaks down the door when there's no answer.
And then we approach someone sitting in a chair near the window, and the chair turns, and oh my god, is that Kathy? How is this possible?
But with long hair. Much like the sketch that we saw earlier.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, this isn't Catherine. This is Maddie, her sister. But she can't qualify for a transplant because of her alcoholism.
I can stop whenever I want. I'm not an alcoholic.
They devised a plan. They took Catherine's ID so that she could qualify for the transplant, but she just kept getting sicker and more impatient. So she started killing the other people on the list while Catherine was out of the country.
They had all lived long lives.
Maddie confronted Catherine. Catherine confronted Maddie about the killings, and Maddie ended up killing her as well.
It was an accident, though. And Shawn psychs out on the sister fight and, like, the accidental rage killing. And I was like, nobody saw this. He's psychic.
Psychic. She pushed her. She hit her head. And Maddie just starts crying. I don't know what happened.
Gus says liver failure can cause psychosis. Liver failure can cause psychosis.
She probably didn't even know what she was doing. And there's just like a moment where we realize that this really wasn't a good win for Shawn.
Yeah, like, she gets arrested, but everybody has sad faces because none of, like, all of this is tragic. Every single part of it.
They're getting Declan out of jail, and he is thanking Shawn. So much so that he's willing to let Kurt play at the wedding of his friend's wedding this weekend.
Dude, are you serious? Do not play with me.
Declan also says, I've been thinking about what you were saying about Juliet. It's silly for someone to keep a giant secret about themselves from someone that they could possibly fall for, you know?
Yeah, and this strikes a chord with Shawn, but also Declan, and I don't want to pass this up because it does come up. Declan gave Shawn fair warning that Kurt is a angry drunk. So there's that. Also, Declan says he's going to get real, and Shawn was like, that's interesting. I was sort of thinking about doing that exact same thing.
Juliet comes up, and Shawn's like, here's the thing, Juliet, and is about to say something, and then he goes, well, would you like to take a walk with me?
Yeah, he wants to do it a little as an aside, and then Declan just comes out with it, and he goes, I have to tell you I'm a fraud. I fudged all of the information, lied on my resume. I don't have those degrees. I just have skills, and I like solving crime.
Juliet does not want to talk about it and walks away.
And he's like, oh, well, Declan's like, ugh, that didn't go very well. And Shawn is texting Gina to cancel her as his wedding date. And Declan is like, you're not even listening to me, bruh. But then Jules comes back.
Listen, Declan, you're right about one thing. There's nothing I value more than honesty. But it does really bother me that you would lie like that. But I'm also blown away by how forthcoming you were. That took a lot of guts.
And Declan's like, oh, so should we maybe go talk this out over coffee? And Shawn's kind of like, I don't think that's such a good idea.
Juliet goes, but if there are any other big life secrets, now's the time to tell me.
Okay, well, I'm super rich.
I can deal with that.
So then Shawn gets a text back from Gina, and it just says, I am going to kill you!
All capital letters. I love it. We head to that very wedding, and the first thing we see is Kurt playing Everybody Wants to Rule the World on an acoustic guitar with a pineapple behind him. Not a real pineapple, a lamp pineapple.
There's a lamp pineapple, but he keeps stopping in the middle of lyrics to drink more, and it's not looking good.
There's a whole blah, 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 wants to rule the world moment. Gus arrives. He has missed the entire ceremony, but where's Kim?
They broke up, and all of a sudden she told Gus, it's like we don't even know each other anymore. And Shawn said, well, as of a week ago, you didn't.
He does not have any compassion for him. It's not going to work. But he did come up with a fix for Gina.
Turns out she's there at the wedding. She walks out with a whole big piled up buffet plate. And she goes, this buffet is amazing. Here, have some bruschetta.
No, thank you.
Yes, but then I'll only have garlic bread later and it'll be super weird when we make out. Garlic breath later. Oh my god, garlic breath later.
Yes, it will.
And then she hands the plate to Gus, attacks Shawn's face, and Gus is left standing there eating the food off the plate while Kurt sings, and that's the episode.
I will admit that they are on steps outside when Gina starts making out with him, and she starts getting naked.
She starts getting naked?
She's taking off her sweater. She's like throwing it and all up on Shawn. It's very funny.
They're on like a terrace or like a
Yeah.
big porch or something. Yeah.
I think we've seen that terrace before.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm willing to bet we have. But yes, it is a delightful episode. That's a good one.
Yeah, we don't really get a lot of Chief. We don't get any Buzz. But other than that, it's a fun one.
Double Woody though, I do like that.
Double Woody and a decent amount of Henry.
Yeah. I like that Henry is like teaching Shawn a lesson in this episode.
Yeah.
In the whole sense of like, this guy's better than you. You need to step up your game. There was a moment we skipped where he was like, you literally mailed in your last episode your last case. And he opens up a piece of paper that says the nurse did it. And Shawn was like, I was right, wasn't I?
You're mailing it in?
Yeah. But yeah, fun episode, good episode. I do think that Shawn is a blithering idiot.
Blithering idiot.
Yeah, he missed so many opportunities.
All the opportunities. He's such a stupid. But I think timing is everything, and I think that'll continue to be accurate.
I agree. If we have nothing else, I am Alexis. Fine, I was wrong, probably. The best kind of wrong. The kind of wrong that makes you feel good about yourself.
And I'm Kaylee. I love Kurt Smith, and I don't care who knows. I will sing it from the rooftops, Gus.
And this has been To the Blueberry.
Psych out.